Hey guys, it's Tarot and Beyond. In today's Pick a Card reading, we're looking at topics of world peace and achieving this through inner balance by activating the peace codes that Spirit is going to be bringing through in the readings today. And the energy itself, more so than the reading, it's really the energy that they're emphasizing to me right now. So I woke up this morning and I wasn't sure what we were going to be doing today. And Spirit said, we're going to be doing a pick a card reading. I asked, what's the topic? And they said, world peace. And I just kind of was like, okay, as you say, so shall it be done. So this is the topic. We've got the three groups as usual, represented by the three cards that you see here before you. Group number one is the 6th chakra Archangel Metatron. And the Energy Oracle deck seems to be pulling me consistently. I know I've used it in a couple of the readings recently, and even as significator cards in one or two of the previous readings. So I'm keeping that in mind as well. Group number 2 is the Goddess of the Moon. And group number 3 is indecision. If you feel called to more than one group, more than one card, more than one image, more than one energy, feel free to explore what pulls you in and why. Ask yourself these questions to decode the message. Take what resonates and only what serves your highest growth and ascension and the growth of the collective for its greatest and highest good. And so it is. Timestamps are below in the description box, or you can use the chapters to jump ahead to your chosen reading or readings. We'll see you there. All right. Hi, group number 1. Welcome to your reading. You guys were drawn to the 6th chakra Archangel Metatron. Or you chose this. And I think being drawn to something and choosing something in this case, I'm being called to talk about this for your reading. So it has to do with this message of world peace or peace codes. It's about choice, and being drawn to something is choosing it at a more energetic or subconscious or higher self level. And then the act of choosing it is more of the intentional will force being utilized or expressed. So something about this in relation to these peace codes, it's like if you're drawn to things that bring you a certain level of peace or that activate that peace within you, that's going to be an indicator of where you're being directed, where you're being guided, where your spirit, where your soul is ushering you. Or actually this morning I heard the word nudge several times synchronistically. So where spirit, where your higher self is nudging you. I just heard the God force, like where the God force within you is nudging you in terms of utilizing and expressing and taking action upon your free will. And the 6th chakra here with Archangel Metatron really talks about the ability to see beyond the physical illusion and to be able to, I'm hearing actually something about manifesting. It's like, well, in this, I guess it would be about manifesting more from the unity consciousness perspective and being able to see beyond the duality of this illusionary matrix style reality, to choose with your free will, with the expression outside of the distortions. So not choosing based on the level of distortion that can be manipulated against the free will, but instead using it to your advantage. I should say, using this higher perspective and spiritual nudge or spiritual feeling or intuition or pull to your advantage, checking in always, asking, where is this coming from? Does this feel truly aligned? And then being able to act on that and therefore support the progression or the expansion or the embodiment of that energy. I know that's a lot, even just like opening your reading. It's a lot of like technical sort of terminology and things like that, but I saw 222 right as it was saying that. But I think on a more like basic level, this is basically just you trusting your intuition, and your intuition is the conduit through which your higher self can speak and move and act. And so if you are in direct alignment with that and choose that of your own free will, like for example, I choose to listen to my higher self every day. And every choice that I make, this could be an affirmation that you say, but this is just literally what I do every day. Every choice that I make has to be, must be, needs to be aligned with that truth within me. And if it's not, I will feel it. And if it's not, I can still choose it if I want to, because our human free will is free. That's the purpose of free will. But not everything that is available to us as an option is necessarily a good one. So in regard to these peace codes, I feel like true inner peace for you, group number 1, is really being in alignment and collaborative, I want to say, with your higher self. So it's not about completely saying, God, just you do everything in my life and I'm going to be a passive bystander, nor is it my ego is just going to drive the ship. It's like a collaboration between the God self and your human self, between the higher self and your quote unquote lower self. So it's both. And this is where the balance is created. And this is where peace can be, I'm hearing, inhabited and accrued. Interesting that the first card we have out from the tarot is the 7 of Swords, which is like mental deception and distortion. And I was kind of picking up on that from Archangel Metatron in the 6th chakra. It's kind of like, this is where those dualities in the mental realm can really get us stuck in dualistic styles of thinking, like cognitive distortions or processing errors in how we perceive something as quote unquote truth. So this can be black and white thinking, it can be catastrophizing, it can be fear-based, it can be really a whole variety of different things that I'm not going to list all of. But essentially what I'm seeing here is, again, it's like this feeling state awareness of your higher self coming through you from a unified perspective. And in that, you are able to see through the distortions and through the illusions of the us or them mentality, the black or white thinking, the cognitive distortions that keep you stuck in a previous belief system or prejudice towards other things or other people or even yourself and your own choices and your own perception of who you are, or what you think you are, or your identity. So there's a big message here, powerful message here coming through for you, group number 1, about shifting your, I want to say, like, your perspective to encompass both your, it's not quite like feeling and mind or emotions and mind. It's higher self and internalized personal self. The best word that we have for it is ego, but ego can also have some negative connotations. So I'm hesitant to use that word because people can associate it with like the false, overconfident, bravado, egotistic type of ego. When I say ego, I mean like your human personality, the avatar. It's like the avatar in the game that you've chosen to play. Your name, where you were born, your memories from this life, who you think you are, how people know you, what you dress like, that's your ego. And it's not a bad thing. It's neutral. It's like the player front of this reality. And I'm seeing this connected to peace in the sense that if you can harmonize that personality with your higher will and your higher self and the intuitive nudges and the free-flowing state of being that is your true self, your higher self, the unified self that's not split or separate from anything or anyone or anything else, boom. You have peace. You have achieved a state of peace. Now, this state of peace is probably not going to be a perpetually self-renewing type of thing. It's like a constant balancing act. They're showing me like a ball and a board on top of the ball, and you're trying to stand on that board. And sometimes you achieve this perfect state of equilibrium and balance, and you're like, yes, I've done it. And then all of a sudden it's like, bloop, and you shift, and you're like, oh, crap. What did I do? One slight breeze threw me off of my perfect, peaceful equilibrium. Well, that's okay. First of all, that's okay. That's just part of the game that you're playing. That's just part of being human. That's part of being divine and human at the same time. At the same damn time. Okay? So don't worry about the imbalances or the perceived failures or the not trusting the nudge or trusting something that maybe is a level of distortion and making a mistake. It's okay. It's okay. True inner peace is achieved by, I think, this like pure awareness, which is just acceptance of everything. It's not acceptance of it needs to be perfect and completely in balance all the time. It's acceptance of the fact that this is a balancing act and it's not supposed to be in this state of just non-movement. Does that kind of make, I'm trying to explain what I'm getting here, what they're showing me clairvoyantly, energetically. Eight of Wands, it's like it's meant to be in a state of movement. It's not meant to be still. And if it was still, it would be in like a perpetual state of peace. Spirit said that wouldn't serve you down here. Not necessarily. I mean, maybe for some people it depends on the soul. It depends on the trajectory. It depends on the level of ego development. It depends on so many different factors. What the soul contract is, what the soul has chosen, what's going to benefit the soul in its evolution, or maybe even collectively in terms of humanity's evolution. There's so many factors. There's so many nuances to this. So it's hard to make like a broad statement. But essentially, this feels to me like the whole point of you being here on this earth, in this body, with this personality that you have chosen, that you have created, that you have cultivated. Every single day is a masterpiece, I just heard. That's what Spirit just said. Every single day is a masterpiece. But it's not always going to feel that way from the human perspective. And I think that having dual awareness is helpful here because it can help you to detach from this maybe even like slight perfectionistic need to have everything be constantly in harmony or in that state of quote unquote peace. But really like it's ironic because it's like a paradox. It's like the more you strive for peace, the more you're pushing against it, at least for this group. I mean, that's not always the case, but in this energy, in this particular reading, that's what's happening. The more you strive for peace, the more you're pushing against it, because the more you try to achieve this peace through external means or through actions or through willing it into being. There's nothing wrong with the will, again, but it needs to be married or harmonized or balanced in that equilibrium with the state of, I guess it would be like non-being, the higher self. It is still a being, but it's not in the physical being state. Okay. This is a way more intense and technical reading than I would have assumed it would be, but I never know what to expect coming into a reading. And I think this is something that maybe you're being guided to do here in accordance with this higher self guidance that you've been nudged toward, or that Spirit is encouraging you to explore, is that nothing necessarily need meet your expectations. Just allowing things to flow and to move and to be what they are, the acceptance, the unconditional, radical acceptance of whatever is, that's what's going to get you to peace. And that's going to help with world peace, because what you embody, the collective achieves. In waves, in ripples, in time, yes, but you make that potential possible through your embodiment. So you shifting yourself and your approach and your perspective in this case is helping literal world peace to be achieved. And it's not to say that you have to carry that weight on your shoulders, because it is a group effort. Many sticks, right? Many hands make for light work. But, and as I said that, many hands make for light workers, working with the light. Effortless when you get into this natural flow. There's no stigma attached to it. There's no repercussions. There's no regrets, because you understand cause and effect in its natural state of being, and you're harmonized with this, I guess, like higher level of trust and surrender to be able to follow those nudges without expectation or demand or egoic free will. Like it feels like without the expectation of an outcome. It's hard to do in human form. But this is what allows you to walk freely. You got the Eight of Cups here. This is what allows you to walk and maybe even fly freely, drawing your attention to things. The seagulls circling something that's important. A call to action, the conch shells reminding me of a call to action, or a divine call, a clarion call. Bringing you into awareness of the direction or the implementation of this higher will. And your job as the human, the version of you that you've chosen to be, the ego self, the personality, is just to be in that and not to bypass it. Just to let it move through you and to trust it. Always counterbalancing, counterweighing things, creating that equilibrium within the self. Okay, I just heard checking and double checking, and then we've got the Page of Swords. And I heard crisis management. Okay. Well, crisis is kind of like the opposite of peace. Chaos and disorders, it's not necessarily the opposite of peace, because again, the third eye chakra allows us to access sixth dimensional consciousness and above, which is where everything is non-dualistic. So it's not like peace and chaos are opposites in the sixth dimensional realm. It's all one thing. That's the beauty of it. That's the peace of it, is that it, like, nothing really matters because it's all one thing anyway. It's only down here that it's split and that the ego gets wrapped up in all of that separation. So I feel like the Page of Swords here, this crisis management reaction of like, I need to do things perfectly, or I'm unsure of what I'm doing, or double checking and triple checking everything to make sure that you're doing it right or that you're not doing it wrong. Or in the lower sense, bypassing these little signals or truths, or not even lower sense, but in like the opposite side of things. The other hand could be not paying attention, letting things flow too much in the sense that there's not a lot of ego direction, and therefore the will of the higher self can't be manifest. It can't form into the embodied action because there's less ego will to drive it forward. Nine of Wands. And then from that comes apathy, if that's the case. I'm kind of getting like two sides of the spectrum, like this balancing act that's occurring. Maybe the pendulum swings one way and then it swings really far back in the other direction again to course correct or to overcorrect itself because of the momentum that has been there. And I think peace, again, it's not necessarily about the pendulum staying static or still in the center. I think it's moments of that. And maybe it's not about regulating how far or how drastically that pendulum is swinging, but more so about just kind of honoring the process of that, the path of the pendulum. Like, it's going to do that, and that's okay. And eventually it will find a rhythm that is in a state of perfect flow without the unhealthy ambivalence, or on the opposite side, over attachment. It's finding that center space. I'm hearing center stage. And in the reading I just did on my other channel, the word stage was not just like center stage was not just about a location or being put on display in some way. It was actually about like a stage of development or a stage of growth. And being center stage in this example then would be you being kind of like right in the middle of this stage of growth. And maybe this is where you're meant to really acknowledge the level of peace, seeing how far you've come, honoring how far you have to go, and being okay with being exactly where you are, right smack in the middle, now. Present tense. Three of Cups. Yeah, we'll take those. I love it. Temperance is on the bottom, and this is really what temperance speaks of. I'm hearing manifestation, but I was going to say, like, temperance is this harmonization of the duality. It's the opposites coming into union, into balance. It's the integration of both. It's not always, I heard it's not always sunny in Philadelphia. That could be a reference for someone specific if you're watching the show or something like that comes up. But I was going to say, like, it's not always this sunny half of the equation. There's also this like stormy, chaotic, dark side, and that's okay. It's part of the nature of duality. It's part of the nature of reality. But you are both and neither. And in this awareness, you can achieve those seemingly fleeting states of peace that eventually will accumulate. Accrue. Spirit keeps saying accrue. Like it will build up. Those states of peace will build up within you, and you'll be able to embody them with a level of trust that maybe you never thought was possible in human form, or you were concerned that you would not be able to achieve and then perhaps became apathetic about. You'll have to apply it how it fits for you. But the energy I see here is very kind of like swinging one way or the other. Okay, we have the 10 of Wands. I heard duty calls when I picked it up. Something about pressure people. Pressure people. I don't know what that means, but that's what Spirit said. 2 of Swords. And I heard the misdirect. Oh, maybe this is like peer pressure. Or the pressure from the outside world. Or just in general. Yeah, I'm hearing cognitive distortions again. There's something about finding your way by not following necessarily the path of others. And it doesn't mean that you have to walk alone or that you have to identify with this archetype of, like, say, for example, the black sheep or the other. It's more so the middle path. That's really what this feels like. Peace for you and the achievement of world peace. In this example is you walking the middle path, integrating the opposites, the polarities, and pursuing what feels like a very natural, organic call of the soul. It's not forced, but you may have to take some action to initiate upon that nudge or upon that feeling. So again, it's this marriage of the inspiration and the action. The inspiration comes from the higher self. The action comes from you choosing to participate and align yourself with that higher self. That's where the movement occurs, and it becomes easier as time goes on. 4 of Wands. And the stability accrues is what Spirit just said. And the word accrue seems to be highlighted because they keep saying it. They keep bringing me back to it. And when I know that the way I work with Spirit is very linguistic. That's just what I like, and they know that. And so they use that because it's a tool that I have in my tool belt. And in this way, I'm able to dive a little deeper into the meaning of things. So sometimes they'll have me look up the literal word to look for additional meaning or symbolism or context. In this case, I feel like it's something about like a crew on a ship, a crew rather than to accrue. But I think it's both. I think it's like you working with yourself, crewing the ship. There's multiple versions of you crewing the ship, and you all need to be oriented toward the same goal to get things flowing in the right direction. And you also have to trust the wind in the sails and the currents of the ocean, which could be ascribed to higher self. The wind in the sails and the water could be the emotions that you feel that are connected or moved by that higher self movement or flow. And then it's up to you to crew the ship, when to put the mast up and let the sails down, when to steer, where to steer, all of these different things, maintenance. So you're crewing the ship here, group number 1, and you are bent on a destination of peace that is clearly, it's like, that's so funny. Spirit just showed me, that's an interesting image. It was an image of a man, but they're also showing me an overlay on top of that image, almost like a juxtaposition of this child. Both of them were wearing an astronaut's helmet, but they're standing on the side of the street with a cardboard piece, like a piece of cardboard that says peace or bust. Interesting. Now I'm wondering, why are they both wearing astronaut helmets? I just heard the word insulation. Okay. And it was also the configuration of the man versus the boy or the child, the older versus the younger, and how they were overlapped on top of each other, almost like one was printed on see-through paper and I could see both at the same time. Something about that could be significant again too, because that's kind of what the third eye does. When you get into that third chakra or third eye, sixth chakra realm, you start to be able to see overlapping realities. It's bizarre. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. The best way I can describe it from my own experience is like I have simultaneous awareness of my God self, my higher self, my intuitive self, my human self, my ego self, my inner child self, and so much more. So it's not just like two versions of me. It's like there's like multiple versions of me on this spectrum from higher to lower, and I'm aware of all of them simultaneously. It can get a little overwhelming sometimes, but it's also really, really useful in being able to identify which arena or area information is coming from. And it allows me to then kind of track what I need to do, where I need to put my focus, where I need to focus my energy, where I need to take action or not. Sometimes inaction is the action. And I think this is you being able to trust your heart space with this Ace of Cups here, unlocking this pearl of wisdom from within your intuitive, sensitive, emotional body, and how that's connected to this natural state of flow that can be uncorked. I'm hearing something about uncork, and they're showing me like a bottle, like a champagne bottle with the cork flying out, depressurized perhaps from within this mental space, because the mental can sometimes get a little overactive in human population, in like the human ego. The mind it tends to be dominant in our current paradigm, in our world culture. The stage of development we're at, Spirit said. And so being able to kind of like not bypass the mind entirely and only listen to the emotions, and not bypass the emotions and only listen to the mind. It's a harmonization of the two. Yeah. Okay. I think I've harped on that long enough. Let's get some additional information or messages regarding peace. Archangel Uriel, illumination, inner power, ideas into form. Yeah. It's this light working ability to take ideas and turn them into form. And it's through this process of harmonization of duality. So you're taking the idea, the nudge, the emotion, the pull, the essence really of this inspiration that comes from spirit, a direct channel, a download, if you will, and being able to apply that. Being able to willingly participate in this process. That's the best use, in my opinion, of your free will. Saint Dymphna, mental health and well-being support. Having good mental health makes this a lot easier. I just heard something about the fractured self has sharp edges. Don't cut yourself. And they're showing me a mirror that's broken up into all these little pieces and seeing only bits and pieces of yourself. Not only can you misconstrue what you're seeing, but you might hurt yourself in trying to handle that. So in the example that I shared around my sort of unified perspective of myself, by no means do I see all of myself, okay? Like, that's definitely not the case. I'm still working on many different layers of my being. But to a larger degree than I ever have in the past, am I able to see all these different aspects. And some of them are in pain, and some of them need me, and some of them are oppressed, and some of them are shadows. Some of them are shoved into the back. Some of them are angry. Some of them are really peaceful. Some of them are so loving, so wise, so intelligent. And some of them are really pissed off and they just want to like punch a wall. So it's not denying any part of yourself. I'm hearing fragile, handle with care, and they're showing me like a beat up old cardboard seems to be significant, but it's like a cardboard box, pretty big, and it's got fragile stickers all over and duct tape, but it looks like it's really been through the ringer, like it's gotten shipped and then shipped back and then shipped over here and then shipped over there and got sat on, then crushed, and an elephant trampled over it, and it's like all the pieces inside are all almost like dust. There's a few big pieces left, but it's a lot of dust. So it's like some level of your fractured egoic state may be causing a feeling of disharmony. But I just heard resolution for inner peace. And Spirit just said, comes at the hand of the construct, but I'm also hearing the word contract. What do you mean? They're showing me the book in her hand. the contract to bring inner harmony into being. That's what they're saying. And part of this could be through doing some mental health self-development work. You've probably already been doing this. If you haven't, you're being encouraged or nudged to, because that's like the whole thing with this reading is being nudged towards this, because it's going to help you re-achieve this state of inner peace. Something about the inner ear I just heard. And they're showing me the cochlea, the spiral, something about this. Oh, the shell. Yeah, the spiraled shell. Anyway, the inner ear is what helps you to find balance. If your inner ear is out of whack, oh my God, you know what? The inner ear is also, there's like these crystals or something in the inner ear that's supposedly, I don't know if this is accurate scientifically or what, but I read it somewhere. There's like these little crystals in the inner ear that are supposed to help create that equilibrium. Okay, Spirit is saying the fractured self. The fractured self is at war with itself and can get hurt. Or it's a result of being hurt. And healing and bringing this inner peace is like this reintegration of all of these parts. With peaceful intent, Spirit just said too, okay? So like with peaceful intent, not over-analyzing any aspect of the self, just being gentle with the shards and being able to, they're showing me like heating up glass with your hands and then forming it together. Like all of these pieces of glass reintegrate through this process of applying heat. I'm hearing to the seat of the soul. They're showing me some energy echoing from like the tailbone up into the abdomen area. It's almost like there's a bowl energetically sitting between the hips, and they're showing me this energy like sound bouncing around inside your body almost, and then heating up, and then it's like you can transmute or you can alchemize, changing the chemical structure of, Spirit just said, and they're showing me the brain now, changing the chemical structure of, and they're saying participating in, willing participant, something about not a lab rat, not a guinea pig, but with compassionate intent, compassionate action and care, taking these parts of the self and refusing them, coming back into harmony again through this oneness. Reintegration of the self is what this feels like. Oh, I love it. Okay. Archangel Chamuel, unconditional love, heart healing, and self-love. Yes, that's what they were just showing me. And I just also heard community support, and they're showing me the Four of Wands, which does have to do with that. So community support in mental health stability is really crucial at a world stage level in this current stage of development. And where you play a role in that, group number one, is perhaps in your own investigation into your psyche, into the layers of your mind, into the layers of your emotional body. I also just heard pain body. And how you can integrate these shadows, lost selves, fragmented selves, wounded selves, orphaned, abandoned selves, and bring them back into oneness again. And it's through this unconditional love. It's through unconditional, like I said, radical acceptance. Because acceptance, to me, in working with these parts and layers of myself and doing this work myself, like I do walk this talk every day, it has been a process of a combination of empathy, awareness, and willingness to understand. Because if I'm willing to understand something, then I can understand it. I can accept it. If I can understand it, I can accept it. Maybe that's not the same for you or someone else or whomever. But for me, that works because if I can understand something, I can see the full context of it, and then I can choose to accept it. And then in accepting it, it's like it's this unburdening process. It's just like the weight of it kind of falls away, and the healing results from that in a big way. Horus on the bottom, clear seeing, intention, and perspective. Thank you, Spirit, for confirming what I was getting here. And Hathor, celebration, rejuvenation, and gratitude. I think this is what you're going to feel symptomatically, but again, not necessarily all at once. It may be in bits and pieces. I just heard the word ergo. What is that? Air, the element of air, go, movement. But ergo also means like, and therefore, heretofore, this will be the result. So it's through clear seeing, intention, and perspective, this willingness to have unconditional love and acceptance, to be in a state of compassion for the whole self, in whatever state it's in, that you're able to rejuvenate and then come into this internal harmonization and celebration. Ooh, celebration also reminds me, because they showed me the champagne bottle. Usually that's a sign of, celebration. And gratitude. I'm hearing gratitude for what is. Okay, one final closing card for you, group number 1. Ideal course of action. Again, confirmation. And look at that little ship. Can you see that there? A crew on the ship, moving through the waters, trusting the process. The flamingos always remind me of community. Same thing, similar energy to 4 of Wands. Banding together, working together, moving as one. Maybe it's even just like, yes, it could definitely be a community of your peers who support you and who maybe even allow you to see different aspects of yourself. But this can also be like a community of yous. It's like Jack Sparrow in that liminal space of Davy Jones' locker where he's crewing the ship and it's all him crewing the ship. That's kind of what this reality is, by the way. And even metaphysically speaking, it's that process of reintegrating the self psychologically. Maybe it's through internal family systems. Maybe it's through Jungian shadow work, psychology, integration work, things like that. And individuation and things like that. It can be really, really helpful in getting to where you're intending to go, not just as a human, but as like the role that this human is shaping in this larger scheme of events and intentions set forth by your higher self. Spirit just said pre-birth plan. Like your soul decided on a birth plan in terms of the general trajectory of your life. Not everything is set in stone. Free will does play a factor, and there can be sort of like wild card things and a lot of other stuff that happens. But generally speaking, there is an idea of what your soul would like to happen to further its progression and its growth. And in this case, the ideal course of action is for you to integrate these parts of the self so that you can create that inner state of peace and take it with you wherever you go, Spirit just said, and take it with you wherever you go. 6 of Wands, success and victory. You take it with you wherever you go. And on the bottom, fresh approach. A new perspective leads to a fresh approach. It leads to a new way of doing things on the physical plane, because when your mind shifts, your actions shift as a result. And when you allow Spirit to work through you, you're able, like I said in the whole course of this reading, you're able to participate, not as like an unwilling subject, but as a collaborator in the creation of your reality and the subsequent peace that comes from that. Okay, that's the message here, group number 1. If it applies to you, take it. But this also applies to the collective, like at a group level, humanity itself, and the achievement of world peace. This is one stage of that development, and it could present individually through you, if you will it to be so. So I'm sending you lots and lots of this unconditional love, heart healing, self-love, well-being, and support to be able to access this inner power, illumination, and in its ideal form, put it into action through the alignment of your higher self and your personal self. Okay? Much love, many blessings. Thank you so much for being here on the channel. I hope you're enjoying the readings and that you're getting lots of benefit from them. Just take what resonates and leave the rest. Anything that feels disadvantageous to your spiritual growth, just disregard it. Okay? Yeah. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 2. Welcome to your reading. We're looking at codes for achieving a state of inner peace and how this applies to larger world peace. So for you guys right away, I'm hearing embodiment of repeated. So Spirit is saying embodiment of, embodiment of, embodiment of in my head. You guys chose the goddess of the moon. So this could be embodiment of some kind of, okay, I'm hearing untapped potential, unseen realms, astral investigation. Okay, there's a lot of channeling coming through right away for you, group 2. Astral investigation, they're saying it again. They're showing me somebody with a magnifying glass interpreting the dreams. Subconscious material, they're saying, write it down, write it down. Something about, they're showing me like highlighting certain words. There's like a code in those words. There's something about being able to interpret that code correctly or to apply the message or to understand something that's going on in this sort of cryptic domain, understanding the subconscious mind. And this is just, that was all channeled, but this is now me speaking as Siobhan. In my experience working with dreams and the astral realm and spirit and the subconscious and emotions, it can have a tendency to be quite cryptic and very symbolic in nature. So when you, I just heard misinterpret. What are you trying to say here, Spirit? They're kind of interjecting in my sentence. Okay, they said, let me talk. All right. When you are misinterpreting your dreams, you are not mistaking dream material. You are awakening to what must be known within the self. In this state of being, there is a knowing that goes beyond or transcends the human mind and its capacity to understand rational material through knowledge or intellect. Within this, there is much to be discovered and known. Peace be with you. Okay. Sorry, when they do funnel, I meant to say full channel. When they funnel energy through me like that and full channel, it's like, it's more intense. So, and also when they channel through me like that, I quickly forget. It's like a dream, it's like, it's there intensely 1 minute and the next it's kind of like starting to fade away. That's what it feels like when I direct channel from spirit, or even when I like indirectly channel like I do in most of my readings, which is more of like a translation, like direct relay of what they're saying. But yeah, it feels, group number 2, that they want you to explore this dream material, whatever that means. And I'm hearing the word in conjunct, maybe things that don't seem like they go together or don't seem like they make sense. There is a rhyme to the reason, or something about error they keep saying. They're showing me a flashing error message. Something about error, like it feels like there's no need to worry about an error. I'm hearing peace becomes you. Oh yeah, embodiment. That's what they started out with. They were saying it over and over. Peace becomes you. You embody that level of peace. There's no level of misinterpretation or mistake that you can make at the human mental level that would interfere with the development of your soul's growth. That's very strong. That's a very clear message from them. Knight of Wands. Okay, they just said the progression and then something about the pedestal. I don't know what they're talking about there. Something like a pedestal effect maybe, or it's what's really drawing my attention is the way that this golden retriever, the way that this dog is looking at the man in the boat. I mean, they're both looking at each other with love and adoration, but it's almost like the dog sees the man on a very high pedestal. I'm not sure what this is referring to for you, but it's like there's I'm hearing moonlighting. Oh yeah, goddess of the moon, moonlighting. There's something within you that maybe you feel a closeness to, or a sense of adoration that may bridge into pedestalization, if that's not even really a word, but it's like putting something up on this pedestal don't really know how to explain this. Hold on. I just kind of hit like a block there. One sec. Let me work through this in real time with you. Okay, so putting something on a pedestal, no lack of adoration. I just heard no lack of adoration. And they're saying something about the purity of the being, the all-encompassing truth, and something about a herald of the soul, the herald of the soul. So again, even like the nature of this reading, the way that it's coming through right off the bat, it does feel necessary for it to be cryptic in some way, or highly symbolic, or coded, or enriched with these not necessarily discernible, logical, linear messages. It's not like, this is the message, this is what you need to do, and this is why. It's more like bits and pieces and puzzles and codes and cues and something I just heard something clicking into place, like auditorily, click. And you know what? It kind of feels like it's through those subconscious cues that your deeper astral self is able to click things together. So even if your human mind is like, I don't know how to process this or what this even means, don't worry about it, because your subconscious is like, yeah, I got this. I'm not going to drop the ball. And they're not going to let you drop the ball or feel like you've dropped the ball. I don't know why. There's something about a dropping, bouncing ball they're showing me. 10 of Pentacles. Again, the dog is drawing my attention. You see the dog there? There's something about the dog. A light furred dog, golden retriever, or a lab, or long-haired shepherd dog. Something about the dog is significant here. Loyalty, companionship, protection. That's what dogs remind me of. Oh, in the moon card in the tarot, it's often depicted with a domesticated dog and a wolf, which is the ancestor of traditional dogs and canines. So there's something maybe about like domestication versus wildness of the subconscious, and how you can build or put things together from that. The Chariot. I just heard the dark horse cometh. There is a dark horse and a light horse here. Yeah, something about shade relevant, and they're showing me the shade, the blinds of a window coming down. It's like when you would go to sleep, you want to darken the room, creating that state of peace. I'm hearing the word solemnity, like solemn. A solemn vow or a solemn contract. I don't know how this applies, but we'll just keep going, because it's all relevant. Spirit's telling me, even if we don't know how. Wheel of Fortune. They said the progression of the soul. They said the word matrix as well. They're showing me the number 10. Yeah, 10. And this movement or progression through phases of being or states of being. Okay, they're showing me a soul going from like a deeper layer of the astral to a little higher, like more lucid in the dream state, and then into waking state, and then into like a higher meditation. And then it's like one is down here and one is up here, but they're not. They're actually like all sort of layered on top of each other, or they're all connected in some way. And I was just asking in my head, how is this connected to inner peace or world peace or peace codes for group 2 spirit? And they showed me the number 7 here and 7 here, 5, 6, 7. And the number 7 has to do with peace, trust. I'm hearing the word solemnity again. Something about spiritual tracking. I just heard spiritual tracking, spiritual pursuit, in hot pursuit, they're saying. And something about the astral realms. I'm hearing peace bringers, bringers of the light. Something about lost in translation. And they're showing me that like a book with certain passages highlighted again. That's what they were showing me before, with like a dream journal and then certain keywords being highlighted, but they just showed it to me like a book, like a novel printed. Times New Roman, something about Times New Roman, and highlighting certain words. And it's like there's a cipher to decipher the code, but your soul has it in bits and pieces, they just said. Nine of Pentacles. Okay, I just heard freedom coding. Freedom coding, and that is connected to your embodiment, group number 2 of peace coding. So freedom and peace for you, I feel like they're one and the same. They're not separate, they are the exact same thing. Which is not going to be the case for everybody, but the way that they're showing me the energy of this, it's coded together. Spirit just said that's a significant clue. I heard write it down. Not saying that you have to, but something about writing things down could be helpful. Or I heard depressurizing and popular demand. Okay, that's why I kind of stopped there and was like, wait, what? I'm not going to filter these messages. I'm just going to bring them through in whatever form they take, because that's kind of the nature of this message and this reading. If that's not your cup of tea, don't worry. Yeah, you don't have to understand it today. Not here. The Tower. Okay, they said when it all comes crashing down, something about a treehouse, and it is a treehouse here. First thing that's coming to mind is the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, which they would always put out on Halloween or around Halloween. They're saying richly coated. They're showing me pumpkins. Something about the harvest could be significant. They're showing me carving pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns. They said sweet smell, something about the smell wafting. Childhood memories could be significant. We have judgment. 10-10 again, yeah. 10-10-10-10. That's been coming up in some of the readings lately, I've noticed. The 2 X's. Something about 10-10, Roman numeral 10. And the Death card. And sleep is kind of like a little temporary death that we do every single night. We go into the astral realm, but we don't detach from the body. So I feel like maybe you've been trying to decipher what spirit has been trying to tell you, or what your higher self has been channeling through to you, or these codes, these maybe they present as synchronicities perhaps, or through this dream. I'm hearing dream network. Oh, what is that movie? I was just shown 2 flashes of, I'm hearing flashes of insight. Sorry, there's just so much coming through all at once for you guys, group 2. It's even hard for me as the translator, as the reader, to piece it together and bring it through in a linear way. But they showed me a reference to a movie. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like the guy who plays Aquaman, and he like goes through these different doors into different dream realms of like other people. What is that called? I'm hearing foray, the word foray, like foraying into the different dream states or different dream realms. And it's like a whole network. Something about astral projection, they're saying. And yeah, they're saying lucid dreaming. And then they were also showing me a reference to Inception, which is it's a movie all about like these different layers of dream and the mind, and like what's reality versus what's not reality, and how do you interpret the dream and the dream constructs and all of wow. Okay. So something about peace for you is connected to freedom, and those 2 parts of the whole are encompassed within this like understanding of these cues at a very subconscious, maybe deep emotional or dream state level. If I can attempt to understand it from a more quantified level, if I can attempt to kind of bridge the gap from all of this like discombobulated type of energy and messages to something a little more linear, measurable. Yeah, as the Knight of Pentacles would tend to do. It's like, okay, show me the direction on the map to the location. X marks the spot. Where do I need to go? But it's like, to do this kind of a treasure hunt, it's almost like Da Vinci Code level deciphering and ciphers and codes. And I'm hearing something about diction and dictation. Oh my God, this reading, I love it, but it's just, wow, it's a lot. And the King of Pentacles. Something about their hats is really, it's really standing out to me. Yeah, I'm noticing he's got like this reminds me of like Irish golfing hats. My grandpapa always used to wear one like that. And then he's got a ball cap here. He's got a cowboy hat. He's got kind of like an Indiana Jones style hat. She's got this crown of, like, I'm hearing lace, but I was going to say crown of like dream droplets almost. Maybe something about the crown chakra, because hats go on the head, ring around the head, ring around the rosy. Yeah, something about the crown chakra, the ring around the top of the head. Even here, she's got dreadlocks. Yeah. Okay. So, Six of Wands on the bottom. Horns, the crown. Again, it feels like achieving this state of peace and world peace, and your involvement in that process, group number 2, is very much about you deciphering the code of your soul. And it's inlaid within you. And they're bringing me back to that message about the pedestal. They're saying, like, don't put that aspect of you on a pedestal. Don't think that you can't understand it, or that you're not doing a good job of interpreting it just because it doesn't make sense to your human logical mind. You're doing a wonderful job. That's coming straight from spirit. That's not me saying that. That's them saying you're doing a wonderful job. Your soul knows exactly what it's doing. You're decoding in all of these non-linear mental spaces, like these liminal spaces, these in-between realms, these, the Bardo state. I just heard the Bardo state. I'm seeing the Hanged Man from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck in my mind. These like realms of suspension where you're able to access completely unlinear, free-flowing, cosmic, I'm hearing something about a ritual, cosmic information coding. And the impact that has on your real life trajectory is profound. Okay, we have Sekhmet, fierceness, destruction, and rebuilding. In the dream realm, you're able to build worlds and also experience the destruction of them. Because what they showed me when I was tapping into the energy of this card and the message therein was a scene in Inception where the entire dream construct gets dissolved or collapsed in on itself. And all of the city that was there 1 second is now rubble, but I'm hearing the word intact, but it's intact because it's from your mind. It's non-physical, so you can just create it again. You're able to destroy and rebuild on this internal plane completely effortlessly. And there's maybe something about that level of freedom that allows you to embody that at a more human consciousness level, like allowing yourself to explore these deep states of being, and the freedom they allow helps you to apply that somehow in a more logical way in the linear reality that you experience in a waking state. Because the third dimensional reality, the physical reality that we're in right now, it is a construct that has similar yet differing rules than the astral realm. It's built, it's just a denser layer of the astral if we kind of look at it that way. So it's a lot slower to respond, And it is a lot more linear in the way we experience it or the way we perceive it. However, why do you think manifestation works and synchronicities occur and signs and symbols can show up in divine timing? It's because this is a reality that is constructed very much similarly to the astral realm. It's a construct of the mind. It just happens at a slower pace. So if you can exercise that muscle of lucidity in the dream state, that's going to help you achieve freedom, which then equals peace for you, group 2. And then from that, you're able to extrapolate into the physical reality. It's like you can control your dreams, you can control your life. But the whole point of this isn't about control, though. That's kind of the opposite. It's about freedom. But I guess with freedom comes a level of discipline. Disciplining the mind, paradoxically, frees it. Thank you, Spirit. Disciplining the mind, paradoxically, frees it. Archangel Gabriel, self-expression, creativity, and North Star. And Archangel Gabriel is the messenger. Didn't they say something about herald? A herald? Yeah, Archangel Gabriel is the herald. It's mercurial communication. It's fluidity of thought, mind, translation. It's ambiguous. It's non-dualistic. It's this expression of the self that lies beyond the physical. I keep getting that for you, group 2, sorry. And Thoth, writing, wisdom, time, and Akashic records. So the astral that you're tapping into in the dream state is also connected to this wheel of time and the fortunes that it holds and beholds. I'm hearing, okay, 9 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, like Knight of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. Look at all the wealth that's here, but it's like it's in your soul. It's in these internal hidden realms, and you're going to be able to access that. On the bottom, Baba Yaga, the wise and wild woman. I knew it. Yeah, it's like the merging of the wisdom of domestication in the form of discipline in this way, control, but balanced perfectly well. I'm hearing on a single point with the wildness and the freedom. Spirit just said one equates the other. Duality and the witch. So this is you being able to tap into these deep states of psychological rest that unlock this pure wisdom of potential within you in your creativity. And not just creativity of like, oh, I'm going to make a painting, or my form of creativity is doing these videos, or, dancing or singing or something like that, playing the piano. I just saw someone playing the piano. That's why I say that. But there's also something about black and white keys and notes, musical notes. Again, there's like a song. Maybe there's a cacophony of music happening in the subconscious mind that you're trying to learn the language of. The rhythm and the notes won't make sense until they do, Spirit just said. But what was I going to say? It's like, it's not that kind of creativity. It's more like the creativity that springs from nothingness, like where you're in the dream state and your mind just creates stuff. It just comes up with things without you having to really force it or think about it or try. And then it's up to you to interpret it, right? You're like, oh, okay, you've presented me with this fascinating world or these weird messages or maybe something even mundane. But like, what does it mean? Okay, we have Make-A-Wish. Oh, and as soon as I turned that over, I heard song from Cinderella, "A dream is a wish your heart makes." So it's like interpreting the dream because it has some kind of a subconscious wish in it, even if it's presenting in a weird, abstract, bizarre, chaotic type of way. It's showing you this wish. I'm hearing wish for freedom. Something about a village I just heard as well. Culmination of a vision. Freedom, I'm hearing flights of fancy. Maybe this is even taking that wild, dreamlike creativity and bringing it into the physical and maybe anchoring it, embodying it, or using that to create something. Maybe it is through literal art. The culmination of this vision. Okay. Heighten your vitality on the bottom. I just heard starstruck lovers. I'm seeing a reference to Shakespeare in my mind. Something about writing is very significant here, right? They did show me the writing, and then you had Gabriel and Thoth, which both have to do with that. Yeah, maybe free-flowing writing, free association writing, creative writing, dream journaling. Maybe even, what is it called? They're saying freehanding. Yeah, again, freedom and peace go hand in hand for you. But what is it called when you channel and you write? Automatic writing. Thank you. Automatic writing. Gratitude and appreciation. I heard holographic glow, random. but not random. Trust your own understanding. Well, this is the thing, is like they're saying, trust your own understanding. You don't have to understand it to understand it. And you know what? I was actually thinking about that in terms of these readings. Like a lot of my readings are like this. Not all of them. Some of them are very linear and sort of easy to digest, and it's more conceptual. These types of readings that I do, the channelings that I do here and on my other channel, they're very abstract. They're very symbolic. They're very dreamlike. They're very richly coded. And I know that there has been some people who comment and are like, not everybody, a lot of people actually help me to expand on the understanding by decoding it with me, which is so, so helpful. But I have had a few comments here and there going, I don't know what this is talking about at all. And I feel inferior not being able to understand it. And it's like, that's okay. Your human mind doesn't have to know how these pieces fit together, because your soul does. Your soul does. So just like, trust that. Trust your own understanding. Even if it doesn't make sense, it does make sense. And you're getting it. You're getting what you need out of it. And you're going to make that into something. And this is an assurance from Spirit. Look at that. Assurance. This is the assurance. When I looked at this, I heard the song lyrics, winter, spring, summer, or fall. What is that? Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah, 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 yeah. You've got a friend. Assurance from your higher self, from your soul self, that you've got a friend on the other side. Actually, I'm also seeing astral support. They're showing me the dogs again. Spirit just said astral yappers. That's so funny. I feel like the people or the souls who were drawn to this group, to this reading, to this energy, I feel like you're divine communicators in some way, or you receive a lot of divine communication, or there's a lot of like two-way communication that occurs when you're in the astral state. And I think that's why the recommendation is to write it down, because even if you don't see the connection right away, through the passage of time, it might make more sense, because 10 of Pentacles is like long-term energy. 9 of Pentacles is about discipline. So I feel like having some kind of a ritual or discipline around mental creativity and expression would be really helpful here. It's being recommended. That's literally what Spirit just said. They said it's being recommended. So I'll relay that to you, group 2. It's being recommended if you don't do that already. If you do, then that's why you're doing it, is because you know that at soul level it was recommended and you followed through with it. Something about felling the tree or felling the source, I just heard too. 4 of Swords, rest, yeah, meditation, felling the source. What do you mean by that, Spirit? Knight of Cups, knocking over the piece on the chessboard here. Felling the source. Maybe these richly coded messages are coded because they're only meant for your eyes, that it's meant to exclude prying eyes. That's what codes are used for, group number 2. Traditionally, coding was used in war and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that, but to prevent prying eyes from deciphering the code. You who have the cipher are the only one who is meant to interpret it. But again, it's like you may think or fear that you're making mistakes in interpreting or understanding it, but they are assuring you, your higher self coming through this reading as Spirit is assuring you that you can trust your own understanding. And just keep holding the vision, manifesting into the embodiment of your reality what it is that you are understanding at these higher or less tangible realm levels. I'm not even going to ask, does this make sense? Because I feel like this whole reading isn't really meant to make a lot of sense. And that's what makes it make sense. Okay. Anything else, Spirit, that you want to say to group number 2 before we move to the next reading? Yeah, they're saying something about making it manifest, working with the primordial goo is what Spirit just said. Working with the primordial goo. It's like the nothing that can become everything and or anything. It's like this insubstantial substance that you can create from to create something substantial. The clay that molds life, that's what Spirit just said. They just said firing the feudal lords, whatever the heck that means. Firing the feudal lords. And they were showing me somebody firing the clay in a kiln. So 2 applications of the word firing. But yeah, they're saying clear knowing, clear truth, internal discernment, a judgment call, knowing when and how to interpret, timing is a factor. Next step, next step, next step. That's what, and they just showed me ... here in this Knight of Pentacles moving towards his goal. So it's not necessarily going to be shown to you all at once, the direction or the trajectory of these messages, or this wish or this peace or this human world peace. That's the goal of this, I would say, in this energy, in this reading. But you're moving one step and you're shown one step at a time, and then you end up getting from nowhere to somewhere. Does that make sense? Again, sorry, that's just like my autopilot question. Does this make sense? Because I find a lot of my readings, to me, sometimes when I'm doing them, they don't make sense to me, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna report the message. But then they make sense later. They do. They make sense later. Or they make sense when you guys share with me how it makes sense to you, you know? Okay. I think that's it, group number 2. That's the message. It's peace and freedom cohabiting together in this realm of unlimited potential and this liminal space of astral creation, projection, lucidity, mental control, spiritual, like spiritual freedom to create. To embody. I'm also hearing the word emboss. Emboss. I'm the boss, they just said. And they're showing me embossing something. Okay, interesting. You're the boss. You're the boss here, group number 2. Okay, bossing up in your mind, in your dream state. I love it. Let me know how this applies if you feel so called to do so, but I don't necessarily need any feedback to know and witness these messages as truth. It's just always interesting to me, and it clicks in different pieces of the puzzle when I see stuff that, like, oh yeah, they were showing me synchronicities about that, and that's how that fits. Oh, okay. But never really having the full picture all at once. It's like bits and pieces that lead you on that path towards the quote unquote treasure, whatever that is for you. In this case, it's freedom and peace, and how those go hand in hand. Okay, I love you guys. I hope this was helpful. Just take what resonates and leave the rest. Let it wash into your subconscious and see what pieces really stick, or what your higher self wants to take and build with, if anything. It's always for your greatest and highest good. That's my intention at all times, in all dimensions, on all states of reality, for your greatest and highest good and the ascension of humanity in our highest timeline. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 3. Welcome to your reading. We're looking at a message about inner peace, peace codes, peace encoding. And you guys were drawn to the number 8, indecision here. And before I started the camera, I heard something about down the rabbit hole, or a rabbit hole in general. So there could be like a rabbit hole of questioning, or a line of questioning that has led you to this crossroads or to this state of indecision, or there could be something about that makes the energy of indecision valuable. Actually, I'm hearing valuable in some way. That's an interesting take. It's okay. They said it's what you take from it. Something about retrieving something that was lost down the rabbit hole, and how this connects to the journey that you're on in regard to a state of peace. 4 of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, they're saying a state of peace that fell down the rabbit hole. That's such a weird way of saying it, but that's what they're showing me. A state of peace that fell down the rabbit hole. And it's like you have to go down these rabbit holes to find where it fell down or where it got lost, where it got buried. 5 of Cups. And maybe this is about the past. I'm hearing emotional depths or emotional depth. So it's like going down the rabbit hole into these emotional depths to retrieve what was lost or to find something that was forgotten. I'm hearing something about a siren's call, or it's been calling you from underneath. Reverberations in the earth, they're saying something about healing and hearing. 6 of Cups. Definitely memories of the past. Okay, so rabbit holes in the mind, memories of the past, and something about a perception of failure, they just said. Retrieval of the mental states that once made up the conglomerate of the mind at a particular age. Something about an age group. Aged well. Yeah, this could be like doing inner child work. And the retrieval of this is helping to bring, and I'm hearing the word sustain. It's like bring these peace codes, peace states of being home to you by retrieving maybe like lost fractions or fractals of the self that went down these rabbit holes. 5 of Swords. I just heard the word duplicity with the 5 of Swords. Interesting message, duplicity. And there is 2 of him here. Duplicity. Yeah, they're saying self-opposition. Okay. This feels like reintegration shadow work. The World. It feels like a state of harmony that comes out of the retrieval. It's like you can really rest in peace, if you will, because you've retrieved these parts of the self that were feeling left out or that were left in the past. Okay, they just said a horse of a different color or a horse of a different color or a horse of a different feather. They showed me both. And then they said something about rough trodden, and they showed me the horseshoe underneath the hoof. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, oh, thank you. They clarified and said the paths you've walked. The paths you've walked, group 3. Maybe this is even about retracing your steps. Like if you lost something, where's the first place you go to find it? The last place you remember having it. And so maybe retrieving these parts of yourself is going down these rabbit holes of like past, oh, interesting. I just heard past fetishes. Okay, that's very specific, but it doesn't have to be like, it could be like past things that you became obsessed with or that were very ingrained in some way in your psyche, and returning to what you used to like that you dropped or that you don't like anymore, or why you went down that rabbit hole in the first place, why you became obsessed with that, or why it consumed you in some way. Because in the consuming you, it like you left a part of yourself there in trying to abandon it. This is such a weird message, not what I was expecting, but bear with me. It feels like retrieval, soul retrieval, even like soul fragmentation retrieval. It doesn't have to be just from childhood in this lifetime. This could even be from past lives, past parts of the self that get, it can happen through trauma, through grief, through despair, or like a deep, intense lack that we sometimes, or judgment, that we leave those parts of the self behind. But then we're not whole anymore. So we have to kind of like retrace our steps, go back, find those pieces of self, reintegrate them, remember them, honor them, love them, appreciate them, and then be able to move forward as a whole self again. So there could be something about that, looking at these different timelines or these different states of your consciousness and where they kind of got stuck, where there's malleability or a need for change. I just heard something about enmeshment, where you became perhaps too, I'm hearing over encumbered, too wrapped up in something else. Queen of Pentacles, right before I pulled this card, they said in literal translation, or something physical perhaps. maybe to do with the mother. Something about art therapy is coming up as well, could help to achieve that state of inner peace in increments because it's allowing you to readdress these parts of the self, either locked in the psyche or lost in the past or lost in the deep past or whatever it is. King of Swords. Yeah, I heard reawakening when I pulled the card. Reawakening these parts of yourself, bringing them back home. Reintegration. And they're saying exploring all pathways. So it's almost like you're able to go down they're showing me multiple doors down a hallway. You're able to look in each one to see, did I lose it there? Did I lose it there? Did I lose it there? And once you've assured yourself, or once you've discerned that you didn't lose it in that location, you're able to move to the next location. Maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's a feeling. Maybe it's a certain smell, a scent memory that triggers something. The olfactory complex is really good at retaining memory or recalling memory, or something from a past life that triggers you, and it's presenting its information to you so that you can find sort of like the general location, or maybe even the specific location of where this is. And you may go down certain rabbit holes with things, or become obsessed with certain things, be consumed by certain things, because it's actually you retracing your steps and looking for things that were lost in those previous timelines, if you will, that you need to retrieve. Knight of Cups. I heard playing a mental game, but the cups is an emotional energy. It's something about the finite realm, they're saying. Six of Cups, Knight of Cups. Yeah, this is something about gender or gender specifics, they just said. But I was going to say this is a younger energy. I'm hearing younger female self. So if this applies to a past life, that could be a hint that it was a female lifetime, because we do tend to alternate as souls. Generally speaking, there's nuance to that, and there's lots of different ways of doing it. But overall, tendency to fluctuate between genders is normal. The Fool. Something in childhood was definitely significant here. I'm hearing fresh start. And the exploration, maybe even with non-judgment as an intention in finding these parts of the self, in exploring these past obsessions, or in exploring these rabbit holes, whether they're dark or not, that draw you in, that seem inescapable in some way, is going to help you to retrace your steps, find what was lost, and then be able to get out. Because it's like the spell breaks once you go back and regain that level of self. That's what Spirit's literally showing me right now. They're showing me this person, okay? And they go down this rabbit hole at a certain age. Let's say 6 or 7 years old. They go down this rabbit hole. And then they shame themselves for the obsession that they had that was created out of this like experience of lack or grief or something maybe traumatic that happened, or something else. I don't know. But this younger version of the self goes down that rabbit hole and then gets kind of stuck there because there's a part of the self that says this isn't healthy or good, and pushes that part of the self away to be able to move on. But in moving on without really understanding or integrating that, I'm hearing something about shallow depths. They're saying like a shallow understanding of this deep emotional trauma or wounding, or the healing that needs to take place, or the integration of that thing or experience. It left that part of the inner child in the hole. And so they're showing me this adult version, or this older version of the self, finding that hole, but it takes a long time to find where is that hole, and which one was it, and how deep down did I go, and where is that part of me, let alone to understand why that inner child self got lost there or stuck there in the first place. But that's the reintegration work that helps to pull that part of the self back in, and through the reclamation of that fragment of the soul, that aspect of the psyche, then there's this true ability to be able to move on. I'm hearing bigger, brighter things. They're showing me greener pastures, something about even comparison could be part of the wounding here. Like, it's always, the grass is always greener over there, so I'm going to keep moving on. But in doing so, abandoning parts of the self along the way, because I'm hearing reintegration of the self needed to happen in such a way in this like browned grass, dirt, soil patch that they're showing me now. But they're saying it's like a garden patch, and they're showing me cabbages and carrots and stuff. It's like for the rabbit to enjoy if it can be understood and worked with, if you can till the soil in such a way. So there's a lot of like very rich, symbolic, psychological, spiritual healing in this message is what it feels like to me. And that's connected to the state of peace that you're meant to, I'm hearing re-achieve. So it's kind of like going back to a time before you lost it, finding it, and then bringing it home. But there's a lot of work that needs to go into that. And this Page of Wands here is speaking to me simultaneously of this younger version of the self that could maybe get really down on yourself about what you liked, or judged yourself for what you became engrossed or enmeshed or obsessed with. And this older version of you now that's looking at it from a different perspective, that's more wizened with age, like wisdom now that you have to be able to look at this from this new level of maturity. But I still think that there's pain there, or there's fear around going down those rabbit holes and getting lost in them again. But that's the wounded part of the self that's speaking. I wasn't expecting this reading to be so psychological, but this is what's coming through. So yeah, it's like finding your way back to yourself will require you almost to a certain degree to regress, but not to re-traumatize, to regress, to be able to find that part of the self and then to retrieve it, and then to be able to reintegrate, to get that real true closure and to be able to move on. And this is what helps you achieve that state of peace, because you're no longer judging or separate from the self, or you're no longer holding on to that, the pressure of that grief or whatever this was. Goddess Lakshmi, prosperity, beauty, and fortune. Mother Mary, purity of heart, faith, and conception. Yeah, I'm getting something about an aspect of the divine feminine energy. I'm hearing a deep feeler, or this could also have to do with beauty and appearance, like how you were seen or represented yourself, or how you were able to creatively express. Saint Bridget, passion, growth, and fire. And Merlin, alchemy, manifestation, and he's the magician archetype as well. Okay, so one more. Lord Ganesha, remover of obstacles and clearing the path ahead. So I really feel like there's a clear path that is opening up for you, that you're able to transition from one state of being to another. Oh, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene on the bottom. Divine feminine, devotion, and sacred sexuality. So there could be something here to do, because they did say fetishes. Could be something to do with like sexuality, repression of sexuality, divine feminine, divine masculine energy integration. Could have to do with accepting yourself as you are. Reversing infantilism, I just heard. Okay, that's very specific. And the strength to be able to follow where your heart is guiding you, and to not misrepresent that in some way. I don't know what this is talking about. Potential gateway. And it's like a heart gateway. I'm hearing down by the old oak tree. And oak trees in like Celtic lore were seen as gateways or portals. Down by the old oak tree. What happened there, I wonder? Intuition. They said the portal to the self. They're showing me like the opening up of all of these rabbit holes and vulnerability. Yeah, it feels like finding or accessing, re-accessing a vulnerable part of yourself that was stuck or trapped down that dark hole. And we have be true to your heart on the bottom, so that you can perhaps reparent, definitely reintegrate, and even soothe this part of the self. And then in doing so, it feels like there's a release of some inner tension or this inner battle that was occurring. Maybe it showed up as self-sabotage, or they're saying something about a mistranslation of the self. Like maybe this is you misunderstanding yourself, or missing out on opportunities, or not having a real clear understanding of what you need, because there was repression of that. Maybe it was internal, maybe it was internalized from the outside, from other people. But there's a removal of the block here, like the passageway is opening so that you can explore these different rabbit holes or go through these gateways and use your intuition as a guide to do this alchemy work. Because in doing so, you are finding a part of yourself that needs to be home. It needs to be welcomed back home. And in doing so, it's like peace. You're finally able to rest at ease because that part of you is not stuck, fragmented in the past, screaming out for help, or in pain in some way. It's like you're able to bring it back home, nurture it, heal it, and finally find some piece of respite. Wow. This is a lot more intense than I was expecting. I just saw 1818 on the recording time. Maybe 18 years old could be part of this as well. Could be different layers or parts of the past self, small pieces. And it's like you have to go down these little rabbit holes to find that missing information. And it's through this devotion to self-exploration that I see this happening. I just heard purple guardian. Purple guardian. Maybe indigo child, indigo children, very sensitive. Something about these Celtic tattoos on Bridget and Merlin are standing out to me as well. They both have these Celtic tattoos, and I mentioned something about the Celtic lore in regard to oak trees. Maybe something to do with that. I'm hearing peaceful prosperity. They said something about bookends, like bookending something, a beginning and an ending, or holding something together. Maybe it's like a series of books that represent these different chapters of your life or these different past lives. Something about them being on the shelf and being able to select the one that you need to recall or reintegrate or understand, to read through, to see yourself maybe as a character, a little bit more detached. And so you're re-experiencing but not re-traumatizing, like you're looking at it objectively so you can understand it, so you can heal, so you can move forward. And I feel like the moving forward isn't even really about progressing here in terms of like a physical productivity. It's more like just achieving a state of peace, which is the progress. Yeah, okay. This goes double for you if you experience consistent or reoccurring bouts of indecision. If you don't trust yourself to make big calls in your life or even little ones, this could be a symptom. It's like a little red flag of a part or parts, multiple parts of the self that are lost, trapped in time, and that are in need of your retrieval. Something about survival, I just heard as well, survival fears, survival matrix. Yeah, there's something about that directly contradicts or is a result of some kind of pain in the heart that manipulated the way that you moved through life or lifetimes. But there's a real significant support network that you have from these different aspects of yourself calling to each other, being like, hey, come back. There's something I need to tell you, or I want to come with you, or something like that. What else? Is there anything else here? Okay, Spirit's saying achieving a state of peace in regards to not recoiling when you recall or what you recall. Something like that is what they were saying. Something about regurgitating the past. That's a symbol or synchronicity. That's like a theme that Spirit's been bringing through in some of the recent readings I've done. I've noticed that it's been this like image of regurgitation, but it's like this purification process, regurgitating the past, maybe being able to identify something that was misidentified, this part of the self, and so that you can truly digest it and be able to integrate. Maybe digestion also occurs in the solar plexus chakra, in the stomach. Solar plexus is to do with your identity, your sense of self, your ego, your will, and your ability to trust your decision-making abilities and take action. So again, like I can see how all of these pieces or parts are coming together, and how there is a strategy or a game plan to you kind of wandering aimlessly or feeling like you're wandering aimlessly. You're not. You're actually finding, you're wandering into territory that you got lost in so that you can find what was lost there and then find your way out. And if you're afraid of getting lost in that territory again, don't. Because once you've got that version of you back, you're able to navigate. So once you find them, that's all you need to do. And then you navigate out and you get that peace as like a beacon call to the next part of the self, or to the home frequency, or back into the now, whatever it needs to be. Yeah. Okay. That's really the message here. Very interesting. It may feel a little convoluted, not just the reading or the message, but like this process itself may feel a little convoluted to you. But it's like, don't get lost in the sauce of it. Just really allow yourself to explore and re-experience or experience what needs to be experienced with like a little bit of a temperate mindset where you're objective, but you're not detached. Does that make sense? Yeah. Compassionate objectivity is the way that I would look at it. All right, I think that's it, group number 3. I will leave the reading there. I hope this message was helpful. Just take what resonates from within it and leave the rest. And I'm wishing you all the best in this process of achieving the state of inner peace, which does help the whole world to do the same thing, because 100th monkey effect and the spilling out into the collective consciousness and the unity of all of us being one. Yes, so you doing this work is profound and pivotal in this collective ascension and in our collective unified growth and healing. I love you. I'm wishing all the best for you because you are me. And we'll see you in the next reading.